back. Episode 2 of the Positively Awesome Wrestling podcast. I'm here with my main man, Tidy. How's it going today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I got turning negatives into a positive. My whole day, so-called negative laundry, and went positive. All right, I got it done. Went to the gym, didn't want to. Went to the gym anyway, got it done. So positive. It's all
you always feel better afterwards. You're always like, I don't want to go, but then you go and you're like, man, I'm so glad I went. It's funny how that always works. My friend used to have to drag me every single time. He says, man, we'll get frozen yogurt afterwards. And I'm like, you know, I want frozen yogurt. And then 5 minutes in, I'm out working him at the gym. And that's just how it always works. It's crazy how that works. Another great week of wrestling, barring one episode, but you don't watch that show, so it didn't affect you. Would you agree? Was there any down points in any of the wrestling you watched this week?
Down points? Nah, man, not really. I can't really think of any because even what happened with Bailey, I mean, as soon as things started going a little south, it was finished within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I watched that again too.
Yeah. So we're just gonna jump right into it. If y'all missed last week, we're just talking about positive stuff. Like I said, no negativity allowed. I don't like it. I don't want to hear it. We get enough of it on Twitter. That's not why we're here. We're here to embrace the love of professional wrestling because we love this shit. First up on the agenda, Theory and Gargano reunion. It was short, it was sweet, and it has me hyped for what's coming up next. What was it about this segment that got you like, okay, this is my jam. This is what I want to talk about as far as Raw is concerned.
I had to watch it twice. I mean, technically 3 times. I want to watch Gargano again, you know, let the tears flow. But I kept looking at Theory's face, you know, because he's like kind of the bad guy, and that's the negative into a positive. If you watch Theory's facial expressions, he's got that boyish look on his face. He's like, Johnny, is that you, Johnny? And like, this is incredible. Comes in, and he seems kind of like he's playing dumb like he did in the way. Because everything that he kind of even slowly hinted, the crowd started chanting, you know, who's your daddy?
Yeah.
And he didn't face character. He still got that boyish look on his face. Like, everybody needs to watch that again to see like good character work. Because man, he was playing like dumbfounded so well when we know, man, he's a mean dude and he's cold, and he wasn't. It gave me hints and hope that the way can come back in a sense because, you know, more of what he says, but he didn't break character. He's like, a lot has changed. You know, I become the United States champion. You know, I got this money in the bank. I'm going to be the next. And then he starts slowly changing his tone. It's like everything that I've done, you know, I've done everything that you want to do. And that's when he starts turning up the heat on him a tiny bit. He takes the foot off the gas. And then he ends it with, you know, maybe you should just get out of the way. If you ain't going to be my caboose and all that stuff. But then he switches again. But nah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. They love us together. Man, you know what? Well, how about for old time's sake? Because he's playing dumb. How about you give me a high five? The blind high five thing from the way.
Hit me, Johnny. Hit me.
And then he hits him. But my thing is, like, if you watch NXT in the way, he was doing that during the marriage. He's like, someone's getting married. He was doing that whole dumb thing. And then with the whole thing,
I fell in love with Austin Theory. Like, I liked him before. I saw him. I believe it was in Evolved. Yeah, it was Evolved. I saw him in Evolved. I was like, okay, I like this kid. He's got a lot of talent. Then he came to NXT. He bounced back. I think he was on Raw for a little bit with Seth. Then he was with Zelina and Andrade and Angel Garza. And I was like, they don't really know what they're doing with him. Then when he was with The Way and NXT with Triple H leading things, I was like, yo, I really like this kid. He's got something. I love the whole Way thing that Austin Theory had going for him. So, yeah, it was awesome. And how you're saying, like, he went from, like, the boyish to, like, back to arrogant Austin Theory. Like, I'm the man. Johnny, my daddy's here. But you know what? I'm grown. I'm the man. I don't want to use the word masterclass because I save it for Sammy. I save it for Sami Zayn, the man, the GOAT of the moment. But the work Austin Theory was doing, as you just broke it down, really was. I don't think you could do character work any better than that.
No.
It was so good. If Austin Theory could channel that in week in and week out, I know a lot of people think he's not ready, but from what I saw Monday, he's ready. He did such a great job on that set. You nailed it perfectly. You always talk about how I nail stuff. You nailed it perfectly how he did it. The floating back and forth. So applaud to you for that. That was really
I beg
good.
Anybody to watch that 1 minute of him talking and look at his expressions while he's boyish and how he slowly switches, goes back, switches, goes back. You're like, man, that's what he did in the way.
Yeah.
Excellent.
If you can teeter-totter between, it's like I said, it's just, I don't hate to use it. I'm bringing up Sami Zayn because we love him. What makes Sami so great is how he teeter-totters. It's like, oh, he's doing the baby. Oh, no, that's that chicken shit Sami. Well, that's what Austin Theory was doing, and it was brilliant. Just to touch on the segment just a little bit, prior to Austin Theory coming out, obviously the Gargano Rebel Heart hits. He comes out. I don't know the last time I was that shocked for, I guess, a non-wrestling match, because I didn't see any spoilers for this, which is rare. It's very rare that I don't get to see a spoiler for something this big. He comes out, and I'm like, yeah, what? A girl's like, you good? You right? I said, I don't know how to react to this. I don't. I'm wanting this. I've been waiting for this, and it's happening. And I'm like, and nobody ruined it. This is amazing. This ain't a negative. So I don't feel okay with doing it. I would have rather seen it at the beginning of the show, though, because in the middle of the show, it just kind of seemed like, oh, it's just Johnny coming out to talk. Whereas if it was started the show off with is like, yo, Johnny's here. What the heck's about to happen? So I don't mean it as a gripe. I don't mean to crap on the segment, because it was great. Johnny came out. You don't know who he is. He lets you know who he is. He lets you know where he was from. Theory came out, ran down their little bit of history, ran down how he surpassed Johnny. And like you said, he's done all the stuff Johnny wanted to do. Johnny said, you know what? I'll hit you. Super kicked, and the segment. If we get Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory, he did get his name back. Austin Theory. It's official. He's Austin Theory again. If we get that at Clash of the Castle, that's one more match to add to that already great card. Already a great card. It's missing some matches. It needs them. This is one. They definitely shit implants on it. Sorry to butt in there. I got a little excited. If you have any more, you can feel free to tackle whatever I might have missed, and you might have had to add on to it.
Of the Gargano thing of, like, that they always say that, like, if you try hard enough, you can be what you want to be. Did a good example of, like, oh, my kid's watching, and what kind of father would I be if I didn't go back to doing what I was supposed to do? And of course, Johnny means it. That's why everybody loves Johnny. That dude, even in the interviews in the back and even the WWE exclusives, he's talking just like a regular person. Like he's at 7-Eleven. He's like, I don't know. I got to get gas. I got some couple dollars and some change. He's just talking such basic stuff. It's like, you got to be relatable. He's relatable. But I mean, that touched me a bit. I mean, the whole thing of, if you work hard, you'll do that. And I heard it a lot, but it means something when it comes from Johnny.
Yeah. He's that relatable babyface underdog hero that they can build a story around. They do it every few years because you get someone like Daniel Bryan, Brian Danielson, whatever people want to call him. You get him to come along, you run that storyline because it works and he can make it happen. Johnny Gargano is the next person they can insert into that program, fine tune it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, make it a little different, but just run the whole thing, holding them down, holding them back. He breaks through. People can relate because, one, his size, two, his relatability, his likability, everything about him. I'm so happy he's back. I hate that I was in such shock because I wanted to enjoy the moment, but I was too busy being like, is this real? Is this really happening? It blew me away that it happened, and I'm glad they're jumping right into the Theory stuff. I hope the briefcase don't get involved. That's my only. I really hope it don't get involved.
It shouldn't. They did that already. That's done. Otis
exactly.
And all that,
don't rehash that.
No.
But the match itself, I think, will be great. It'll be an awesome story to go behind it. The teacher, the son surpasses the father. The father comes back, puts him. It's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that. So with that out of the way, we go from one The Way reunion to another The Way reunion. Even though Dexter really wasn't part of The Way, he just kind of married into the whole situation. it was one of the feel good moments of NXT last year. I think everybody enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, you're just one of the people who don't like WWE, and that's all. I don't have time for you. It was a really good feel good moment. There was comedy involved, as you said. Theory jumped up and played his part. When Dexter pulled out the hatchet, when everyone's talking about they want to stand up and they got an objection, he's like, eh? And then, no, we got no objection. Fun stuff. The honeymoon stuff after, brilliant. Everything about this, I loved it. I was curious if they would touch on this with Dexter back. This week they did. I only saw a little bit. Glad you saw it. You can fill me in on what I might have missed, and we can dissect the greatness of this reunion that they had on NXT.
Well, Indy Hartwell with Dexter, when she was first trying to get her man, and Candace was like, stay away from him, he's bad news, or beefing with Johnny or whatever. Yeah. He's weird. I remember she acted hurt, and Dexter picks her up, which, comes full circle, picks her up in her arms, and then she looks at the camera, is like, gives the thumbs up. That's how that kind of started when she finally got her man thing. And that's how the show ends. She is in another match. They're breaking down the history. Stu Bennett's in the background and commentary being like, it's been like 4 months. She's trying to get back on track. She can't really win a match. She can't break through. She gets beat tonight. And she sits on the corner of the edge of the ring. And she grabs the mic. And she's like, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I've tried everything. Almost like saying, I'm done with NXT. I can't do anything here. And then you start thinking about, if you watch the last 4 months of, teetering, talk about teetering, of really going nowhere. And then here comes Dexter in the background. He comes from out under the ring, comes out, and she slowly turns around and sees him and runs at him, jumps on him, hugs him. They start kissing, whatever. It's kind of a feel-good moment for her. But then he goes to the outside, and she just jumps. Dexter's a man, because he caught her. She's big. Caught her in her arms, just like I said, full circle, and walks her out. So everybody's already thinking, oh, wait, Johnny's there. Or is he taking her to Raw?
Yeah.
Dexter's already on Raw. So he goes up the ramp. And then later on, the next segment, it's you see the police car. I couldn't really tell. Like, you see the flashing lights in the back. Yeah. He puts her down, hands her a letter, turns around, and the doors open, and he walks backwards. He's got that creepy eyes, and he's staring at her. And then the cops come and they handcuff him. And it took me a second. Oh, that's right. No one cared because he took the Miz. That's right. He's in trouble. He kidnapped the Miz. It took me a second to get it. And then, she's looking at the letter, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But it's a quick, complete circle. And it's a good feel moment for Indy Hartwell, because it seems like she is going to Raw. Yeah. The story involves Raw. So
I noticed mine. From the little bit I've tuned in on it to NXT, because like I said, I can't keep up with it like I used to. I wish I could. I can't. It doesn't gain my attention that much. But the one thing I have noticed is Indy really hasn't been doing anything, and how they were able to tie that into Dexter coming back and make it that this makes sense. She's been heartbroken, and now here she comes, and she can now revitalize her career. She can come to Raw. I'll be very interested to see how the way stuff works, because they've already mentioned it, like you said, with the Theory and Gargano. If she shows up on Raw, is she going to be with Johnny? Is Candace on her way as well? The whole thing is very interesting. I'm very excited. Do you remember what the letter said? Because I know it was a picture and it said something. And I remember seeing it and thinking, did he break up with her?
No, it's something like, I'll see you a little bit down the road, because I think he was hinting that he's about to get arrested. I'll rejoin you. So basically, is he coming back to Raw immediately? But it seems, I love you forever. It was
goodbye, Indy, parentheses for now, and then I love you forever. So okay. I literally came in at the end of the segment and saw him hand it to her and then do the whole backing out with his eyes going, and then I was like, what just happened? So so the beginning part makes a lot more sense now. I get it. It's cool. They've retouched on it. it makes you think, like, if I know it would be a stretch here, but if they in the back of their mind were playing the whole indie, holding her down a little bit in the event that they one day they could bring Dexter back to kind of revitalize the thing, because the way it's played, because she really hasn't done anything.
Yeah,
she had that one little moment where she like dating one of the NXT 2.0 guys.
No, it was she got in a fight with Persia Parada, I think, and what's his face, and
the poker player guy. I can't remember his name.
And Stu Bennett kept calling it out, like, dude, she needs to stop focusing on these relationships. You know, this index thing was the most disgusting thing I said, and blah, blah, blah. I know Beth Phoenix loves it, and she's probably puking as I say this, but it's disgusting. She needs to focus on her career, and that was kind of the story. You start seeing her have kind of good matches, but not really winning. So little did she know that Triple H would rehire Dexter.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he carries her out just like the same way it came in, it's like, this is her one saving grace. She needs to leave NXT, but if she can be with him and maybe the Garganos again, that'll jumpstart her career. So I'm all for it.
It'll be interesting to see where this one goes. I love that they had Dexter go over there to NXT and tie that whole thing. Little details like that are what is making WWE infinitely better these days, and I love it. I love it 100%. So now, third topic of the day, and I'm glad you pointed this one out too. Baron Corbin versus Ricochet. It's not a segment. It's not really. It's a match. Why are we talking about a match? It wasn't like as Uncle Dave Meltzer will call it, a 5-star classic. It doesn't even get the 5-star on the Jimmy Bay rating scale. But what this match did was showcase Baron Corbin, which is something I don't think people have seen recently. And then Ricochet continuing to get his shine. But I think everybody already knew what Ricochet does. I think people forget about Baron Corbin, which is crazy because I feel like online he gets a lot of love for his character work.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear about his character work. I don't hear a whole lot about his wrestling. We all know he got the best finisher in all of wrestling, 100%, hands down. Argue with the wall if you don't agree with me. End of Days is amazing. I love it. And then the Deep Six.
Oh my God.
It might be the best signature move in all of wrestling. He has the best 1-2 punch in wrestling, in my opinion. Best finisher, that's not an opinion. That's a factual statement. Again, argue with Wall if you disagree with me. But the whole package, as far as the match, from the first bell to the last bell, he's awesome. And I love, even though we just saw this match, I think like 3 weeks ago, it didn't feel like a rematch. This felt like, hey, Baron, go out there and remind people what you were doing when you were the Lone Wolf. I don't know if you got that, because you brought up, this is one of the things you brought up, and I'm glad you did. Again, I agree this was a big thing this week. It was one of my, like, I was enthralled. I was like, okay, look at Baron go. Didn't think it would make the show as far as top 3 things for this week, but I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did, because it's different. We can't just praise Sammy all day. Just can't do it. I'm sorry, Sammy. We love you. Can't do it. We gotta hit different things. But I'm glad Baron's getting some flowers, because I will never get tired of praising Baron Corbin. I think he's amazing. What is it that you saw in this match that made you say, you know what? This is making my cut this week?
I brought up evidence, what Michael Cole and Pat was saying. So Pat's riding him a hard one immediately. And then Michael Cole's like, man, what is it about this Baron guy and then there he goes, like, oh, his negativity, and he's a horrible human being. and I'll touch on that at the end, how he started doing that thing where he started circling his face, and this dumb face, and this dumb brain. I was once a bum, you know. Pat and Cole, they're giving props throughout kind of the whole match. If you watch it again, I watched it twice just to see. It's like, I swear they're giving them props. Twice Pat gives them props, like, man, this guy can really do anything. And then they bring up his accolades. You know, Pat's like, oh, he was a champ, Golden Gloves. You know, the guy's badass, but he needs to get rid of his negative attitude. That's what keeps holding him back. And then he says, he does one move where he has him up on his shoulder, and then he rolls him off, spins him twice, lands on his back.
Yeah.
And he asked Michael Cole, like, you've been around for 25 years. What the hell do you call that? He's like, that's called a throw a guy to the mat move. But Cole didn't know what to say. But before that, he picks him up, does the world's strongest man. That's according to what Michael Cole said. But he had him on his shoulders first, picked him up, and then slammed him on the thing. So I was like, dude, that table didn't break. Was it meant to break? But he hit him pretty hard. It wasn't full force, but it was damn hard.
It was solid.
It's like, and then that's when Pat's like, man, he's doing things we haven't seen him do. Those two moves specifically were pretty flush. But you watch the whole match. I mean, whether he's throwing Ricochet's head into the top turnbuckle, it's so flush. Everything that he did, it was a 12-minute match. I looked at the time. It felt like it was 15 to 20. Easily, I could have thought it was a 20-minute match if I didn't look at the time, because that's how good it was from beginning to end.
With great pacing. But the pacing matters. It makes a world of difference.
And my question to you is going to be weird because it won't happen. But can they turn Corbin into a face? Because the way they introduce him, I know. But
you're good. You're good, man.
I have a case. Corbin's promo. Right before the match started, I like how they have the little promo segment in the corner while he's walking out to the ring. He's like, Ricochet has no staying power. That's his one big problem. Reflect, Corbin has obviously got staying power. He's been here for years, and he's a top dude. He's opening the show, for crying out loud. There's no way that little punk beats me twice. Simple, easy. For fans, we know he has staying power. Great for the Hill fans. But there's no way that little punk beats me twice.
And he did.
He loses, man. He loses. I'm talking about sympathy. A little bit of sympathy. They keep hinting like, man, this guy has all the tools. He was they brought up he was U.S. champ. I think they said NXT he was a North American champ.
No, he's never held a singles title.
What? I could have sworn they said U.S. champ.
If he has it, I'd be surprised. I can look it up real quick while you talk. But
did he?
I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive he's never held a singles title.
As soon as Corbin threw Ricochet into the barricade, that's when Pat says, you know, former Golden Gloves champion, former WWE champion. And I was like, wait, what? And I looked it up. And someone online was like, he was a U.S. champ. And then
I'm about to look it up.
And then I could have swore. Whatever. So they're naming off some accolades. So I'm thinking.
Okay. Just to touch on real quick, he is a one-time United States champion. I do not recall this. I'm assuming it was during the Lone Wolf. I know the only thing I ever remember him winning was Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which means absolutely nothing. So, but yes, a one-time WWE United States champion. So there you have it. I learned something new today.
So, and then Pat goes off about, he says, with this face, starts circling it, making fun of him, and it's getting funny. Cole laughs after a second. He's like, instead of being an American dream story, reflecting everything they said earlier, this guy has all the tools. But because he's a terrible human being and that stupid brain of his is a negative part of society, and the universe is going to keep dumping on him. I mean, like, but he says, you know, it's the American dream story. Is there a possibility? I mean, they're building a tiny bit of sympathy towards Corbin. I mean, they can't keep him as happy, Corbin.
I think it's hilarious that you asked this question, because while you were talking about the match, I was planning on asking you when you were done, do you see them turning Baron Corbin face after all this?
Yes.
Certain people, they're very good at a certain role, because The Rock is excellent as a babyface and a heel. We've never seen Corbin as a babyface. If it happened in NXT, I missed it. I don't think it happened.
No,
I don't see how it would have if he was the Lone Wolf character there as well. I don't know what he was before. I don't think he's ever been a babyface. If you are a master at playing a heel and you've done it for so long, or you're a master at playing a babyface and you turn, if you get stale, because if you're over like Stone Cold was, it'll never work. So
no,
I'll kick that one in the butt now. But Baron Corbin's been a heel for so long. He's worked with some of the best baby faces. He's had to have learned a few things. His dedication to the craft has to play into that somehow. The bum Corbin, people loved him. We clearly see that he can connect with the fans on that level. He may have still been trying to play a heel, but the fans loved him, and he milked it. A lot of people wanted that to continue a lot longer. I don't think it should have. I think it ended when it needed to. You can't you can't do it for too long or else it loses its. It's good to look back and reflect on. Man, that was such a great time when he was bum ass Corbin, and it was so fun, and we all loved him. Now we hate him again because we're supposed to. The people who we hate, but deep down, like me and a lot of other people, we like the man.
Mm-hmm.
He's just really good at being a heel. So like, oh, I hate this son of a bitch. Because I still do believe it is a big if. You brought up some great stuff. I still believe it's a big if. If he's turned babyface, I think it works magnificently. I think Triple H knows what he's doing. I think Baron Corbin, again, he's so dedicated to this. He's so undervalued in that sense that like he goes above and beyond to make his stuff work. He's safe. He's got all the tools to be a main event dude.
And he's 6'8". He looks like he's 6'11". He's like an inch away from being 7 foot. That dude is a monster.
What I've noticed since Triple H has taken over as head of talent relations and now head of creative, Baron Corbin I think has wrestled every week. And I know he wrestled Ricochet. He was in the 5-man, which he put in work.
Yeah, he did. He got that.
I noticed some little stints of he was dominating. Heels don't really dominate the way he was dominating, especially with Sheamus in there. Him in a Sheamus program with Sheamus as a heel would be phenomenal. But that's for another day, another story. I just noticed things in that 5-way. I was like, this is kind of babyface-like. It wasn't glaring. It was just kind of like that kind of seems like that's not the Baron Corbin I've known. And now you got the commentary kind of planting the seeds, which is a thing you're going to have going forward. The commentary is going to be planting seeds for things, for storylines in the future and all the other stuff. It's great storytelling. It adds to it. It allows the fans to kind of get a little taste and be like, okay, and now they can start looking for things like you just did. You were looking for after you heard some things. So it makes things better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I'd be shocked to see it happen. I would be a little bit disappointed because he is one of the only true heels left. But if it's going to give Baron Corbin what I think he rightfully deserves and it's a legit shot in the main event, I'm all for it.
So this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping very quickly that they just keep planting some little seeds of sorrow. Like, oh, poor Corbin, he can't get a win. And I'm just hoping they're judging how does Triple H feel about this? Like, is this somebody I actually want to win? And do I want, maybe they can slowly tamper with it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Keep him as Baron Corbin. Maybe change his name to, Mad Corbin. I don't know. But,
they'll go back to the Lone Wolf stuff before they do anything else. If he doesn't go babyface. Because it worked well for him. I don't know his relationship with Triple H. I know a lot of the NXT guys, they have a great relationship with Triple H. I'm not sure of theirs. I do know that Baron Corbin has always been a great company man. He's the Miz. He is the Rock. Mm-hmm. You ask him to do something, he's going to do it to the best of his ability. He don't care about the wins and losses. He don't care about titles. He cares about doing his job and doing it the best he can. And he does it. I think at some point you have to reward him with something though. And I hope we get there with it. I hope he's one of Triple H's boys, honestly. Deep down, I'm like, please be one of Triple H's boys so we can get some. I feel like I haven't seen End of Days in forever, man.
Well,
Drew McIntyre, I think, is the last person I saw him do it to. And that little son of a bitch kicked out. So I feel like it's been forever, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm glad you touched on it because, again, I was thinking as you were talking about it. So we're on the same page there. So that was 3 our favorite takeaways of the week. Raw, NXT, SmackDown. We hit all 3 of them for you. No AEW this week. Sorry, AEW fans. If you watch my AEW recap, you know exactly why I didn't make the show. But I'm not going to get into that. We're going to go on to the next part of the show. Tidy said he has a question. And I like this question because it's very interesting. I see a lot of people complain that it happens. And you know what? It's going to happen sometimes. One way it works, the other way it doesn't. So the question is, go ahead with your question. Go ahead with it.
Can I... because I have my dream matches in my head. I'm like, man, why can't I just have a face fight a face? Why can't I just have a heel fight a heel? Maybe Kevin Owens and Seth, that was a misunderstanding with the heel versus heel thing. But I would like, why is this a traditional thing that this mold has to be? When I hear you guys predict, it's like, well, that wouldn't happen because that guy's face, so that surely, I mean, it's like, I'm like, man, stop. I don't want the barriers as a fan, but I want to know, is it that deeply ingrained in how wrestling works? Like,
I'll break it down for you this way. Go ahead and give me your face versus face if you have one in your head that you want to see. And I can tell you how that one can happen.
Okay. If I was to do a face, well, I mean, this is the new guys. It's Johnny Gargano versus Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens is a face to me. I don't care what anybody says.
he's on his way. He's on his way. If you didn't know, the Usos and Sammy are on Raw tomorrow.
Yes.
That's going to play into something. That's definitely going to play into something.
Sammy KO.
So we'll get you'll see that tomorrow night. Not a spoiler. They promoted it, so I'm not spoiling anything. But so Gargano, Kevin Owens, face versus face. You can definitely do it. There's honor with baby faces. If you're rooting for a baby face, it's like someone you're like, okay, this is a guy. He does the right thing. He has morals. He has honor. He's not here. He's going to do everything by the book. So if you have another face who lives by them same rules, like a Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is a perfect baby face in WWE. So you have two guys who live by those rules. If they're in a contest where the winner gets a world title shot, you can simply do it because they both understand what's at risk here. They both respect each other because, hey, this man plays by the way I play. I can have a legitimate match with this person, and there's no beef. I don't have to worry about this man trying to injure me. I don't have to worry about this man getting mad if I beat him and attacking me afterwards. This is literally just a contest to see which one of us is better. And if you're a babyface, it just works because, again, it's about honor. And there's honor in, hey, if I lost to the better man, I lost to the better man. I can take it, handshake afterwards. Perfect. I don't know which SummerSlam it was. John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan beat him for the WWE Championship, and then afterwards Triple H pedigreed him. Randy Orton cashed in, took the title from Daniel Bryan. What happened afterwards has nothing to do with it. But John Cena and Daniel Bryan were both baby faces, obviously, because Daniel Bryan is one of the best baby faces of the past 10 years. John Cena is one of the best baby faces of all time. It was a great match. It was a great program. The ending was awesome. They shook hands, and then shenanigans happened afterwards. With a heel, you can do it, but it has to be done to perfection for it to matter. Because the old style is you want your baby face, you want your heel, you want the guy that people can relate to, you want the guy that people can get behind, and you want to see the guy get his butt kicked. The guy you get behind is going to kick his butt. Yay! That's what I want to see. That's the premise of professional wrestling as it grew. Prior to the 80s, I don't know. I can't talk on it. But through the 80s, and that's why Iron Sheik, people just wanted to see him get his butt kicked because it played to the world. And Hulk Hogan was the American hero. It's like, yes, kick his butt. With a heel, there's nobody, unless he's a favorite of yours, like Baron Corbin, he's a favorite of ours. Unless he's a favorite, you don't have that emotional, like, I want to see him win. He's got to win. He's got to kick this dude's teeth in because realistically, they're supposed to be on the same playing field. This guy is a cheater. He's taking all the shortcuts. He's going to attack people from behind. He's going to do everything. Then this guy does the same stuff. So if you had someone like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, it can work because those guys have so many layers to their character that it can become a matter of one-upping each other. Like, oh, you're trying to cheat this way. I'm going to cheat this way. So it works very rarely, though. And it's the emotional connection. I could have said this and made this way shorter. I didn't. I took the long road to get where we're at. The emotional connection is why you can do face versus face, but you can't traditionally do a heel versus heel. And now we're going to the last part of the show where I break something down for Tidy that he may not be aware of in the wrestling world. I said we weren't talking about AEW. I lied. We're talking about AEW. But not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Entirely. I'm going to retell the CM Punk Jon Moxley saga and see what Tidy thinks about it and see if he's as flabbergasted and just mind blown with the result we got this past week.
Okay.
CM Punk shows up, going way, way back. He shows up in AEW, the first dance, his debut. He's here to let people know he wants to know if he can still do it. He's gonna ride this until the wheels fall off. He's playing babyface, which is not the CM Punk most fans want to see, but he can make it work. He's not terrible at it. So through his journey, he's taken on all the young guys. His first one was Darby Allin. It was a small program, great match though. I think it helped Darby Allin grow tremendously as a wrestler. I've noticed almost a night and day difference with this kid. He did the program with Eddie Kingston where you kind of started to see, I don't want to say a heel version of Punk, but you kind of saw flashes of like that style of Punk. He was never playing the heel, but you saw the style where he was getting gritty and he was getting real against Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is like, everyone loves Eddie Kingston. So he did that. He's had a few other programs with people. He had the one with MJF, which if you didn't catch, let me know. I'm going to send you a clip where it's a YouTube video that breaks the whole feud down.
I've heard some stuff, and I heard some of his comments about.
It's a feud of the year, and that's over Seth and Cody 100%. I don't care what anyone says. It's feud of the year. It was that damn good storytelling, everything involved in it. There's real life brought into it, everything. It's such a great story. The video is not terribly long. I think it's like 45 minutes, but
okay,
it's worth the watch because the storytelling is amazing. So he goes through that. CM Punk hasn't lost a match. He loses. He challenges MJF to a match in Chicago, which is CM Punk country. He's like, you're crazy to challenge me in Chicago. That's insane. You don't do that. So they wrestle. MJF cheats and he wins. Ref notices it after the match is already over. So he restarts the match. He chokes CM Punk out. They restart the match. We've seen this before, nothing new. This usually means CM Punk comes back, gets the win, the crowd goes home happy. Doesn't happen this time. MJF cheats again, and he wins again. And the ref doesn't find out this time. So he beat CM Punk twice in one night in Chicago. That's rough. CM Punk comes back, says, you know what? That doesn't sit right with me. I want a rematch. We're going to do it at the pay-per-view. And then he references Piper, because MJF was talking about, I'm better than CM Punk in Chicago. I'm better than this. I'm better than Piper in Portland. So Punk used the Piper in Portland reference to bring up the dog collar match, which is, if you watch the first Captain's Table, we watched the Roddy Piper, Greg Valentine dog collar match. I believe it was the first one. And it was a bloody massacre. CM Punk won. From there, he's like, all right, time to go for the world championship. Challenges Hangman Adam Page. Those two have a very short program. Gets a little bit real there. Punk wins. He's your new champion. He has reached the mountaintop that he came back to do. If you're a Punk hater, you're mad. If you're a CM Punk fan, you're like, yes. If you love good storytelling, you're like, yes. CM Punk comes out first Dynamite after winning the title. He's in a 6-man with FTR. I believe this is where, I don't know if this is where he did it. But I don't think there's been a report about it. But he goes to do a springboard, trips, lands, and I think this is where he breaks his foot. He finishes the match, but then he has to come out on Rampage and basically say, I broke my foot. I'm going to be away for a while. I have to have surgery.
Oh.
So they crown an interim champion. Jon Moxley wins it. Make a long story short, there was no hiding that they were going to give it to Jon Moxley.
Okay.
I would have to get kind of negative a little bit there to tell the story, but he wins it. I'm not mad at it. I think he was a great champion the first time, and he's wrestler of the. So yeah, put it on Moxley. That's fine. Let's see. Moxley was defending it pretty much every week. He was defending it against, I don't even remember. Maybe it was Jericho. Yes, it was Jericho. The Lionheart came back to fight Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley wins. Afterwards, Jericho Appreciation Society comes out. And Blackpool Combat Club, that's Jon Moxley's group, they come out, big brawl. But the Jericho Appreciation Society clearly outnumbers them, so they're getting the upper hand. CM Punk's music hits. He comes down, helps the Blackpool Combat Club, clears the ring, takes them out. They run like scalded dogs. Moxley and Punk meet in the ring face to face. Okay, this just got real. it's the biggest match. AEW wasn't lying when they said this is the biggest match in history, because this is the biggest match, in my opinion, they could have made. CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. They have history. CM Punk brought Dean Ambrose in with the Shield and brought them up to the thing. So there's history there. They could have a nice program. We didn't get that far into it, but is what it is. Moxley flips him off, leaves. Next week, come back. Last week, we talked about the promo that they had, the promo battle. It was wonderful. Set up the match that happened this past week. Match starts. They go into the test of strengths, tie up. Punk backs him down. A few moves later, CM Punk goes for one of his signature trademark head kicks on Moxley. His left foot is the one he broke. The left foot is planted. He kicks Moxley, drops to the ground, screams in pain. I'm hurt. He's hurt. Ref's like, hey, back up, Moxley. Moxley's like, screw you. Not those words, other words. You know what I mean. He grabs Punk and just starts brutalizing him. Picks him up, hits the finisher twice, pins him. Less than 3 minutes. He destroys CM Punk. This is supposed to be the biggest match in AEW history, and that's how it went. They put this match, not as the main event, in the dead middle of the show. So after this happens, because Moxley, he leaves with the belt, and then CM Punk is helped to the back. He gives a look back, completely deflated. And then they cut to commercial and then continue with the show afterwards. So my first question here is, does that make sense to you to have that happen with that little story that I helped retell building to this match? Does it have sense to not only have this show on free TV, but to have it in the middle of your show?
No, it seems like they said it's the biggest match.
Even hyped it that way. That's not just my words. They hyped it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that should be main event. Definitely main event. And for it to end that quickly, I mean, that's a slap in the face, I would say, even for Moxley fans, because not just CM Punk fans, you want to see a fight. I mean, like, these are the two worlds collide. I'm the interim champ. I took over the championship. You lost, or you got injured. You're gone. He comes back, helps him out. We have a fire promo the week before. It makes Moxley look bad. Surely they're going to beat the shit out of each other. I mean, like, that doesn't.
It's confusing, isn't it? I'm going to make it a little bit more confusing for you. So the match happens. They cut to commercial. They come back. They run a segment with Christian and Jungle Boy, which is great stuff. I'm not hating. Then they do another promo with Ricky Starks. Again, I love Ricky Starks. Great stuff. And then they go to the back, and Jon Moxley cuts a promo about what he just did and how he's the man. And then they go into their main event. The placement of everything. I've complained about this a few times on Dynamite, how on the recaps about how placement seems to be an issue with Dynamite. Never in their history that since I've been doing the recaps has it been this crazy and wild. I love to get people's opinion because you have AEW fans, you have the ones that are like, "Oh, it was great." Okay, drink your Kool-Aid. Whatever. I'm not hating on you. Then there's people like me who are like, man, this is weird. You don't watch AEW. Your knowledge of AEW is because of me.
Yep.
So just to get an outsider's perspective, I love to hear it so that I know, am I being too harsh? Am I being too much of a Punk fan? Is that why I'm so like...
Well,
not only was it me, my girlfriend watched it and she was like, this doesn't make any sense. And she's a casual and you're a WB guy. And I don't want anybody thinking it is like, well, it's not the Tidy likes wrestling. He likes wrestling. He has time. He's chosen. It's not anything with tribalism here. He just watches what he can. Yeah.
If I had cable, I'd watch AEW with all the stuff that I hear just from Dave alone. Like, man, you gotta watch Ospreay and all the stuff. I'm like, I would.
Yeah, Dave's sent him some matches and he's watched them and he's liked them. So he loves wrestling. He just doesn't get a chance to watch AEW due to the cable situation. So I just wanted his take on, again, the placement. And the so now the next part of this question, you've ran the biggest match in AEW history. a week and a half before your pay-per-view. At your pay-per-view, you don't have a main event now. You don't have a world title match.
So
I'd ask you an opinion on who they could, but you don't really know the roster. But if this is the biggest match in AEW history, I think it's safe to say that you can't have another match a week and a half later that the fans are going to be like, I'm sold on. Would you agree with that?
You need at least 3 weeks to build something credible. If you're lucky, you can do it in 2.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally. I mean, can't just call John Cena back. Hey, John Cena's back, and he just.
Some fan came up with this crazy theory that John Cena is going to be at All Out face Jon Moxley. It is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It's not happening, but some fan has actually said that. But they have 1 week to establish an opponent for Jon Moxley at All Out and make him a credible threat. Because to me, Jon Moxley is almost, I said this earlier on the podcast, he's not on Roman Reigns level as far as like the God mode thing. But man, he just ran through the biggest challenger he could have had. Yeah. You have 1 week to fix it, and it's like, how do you do it? Because on Rampage, they showed footage of CM Punk, and he's selling the injury. They're showing footage that happened on Dynamite, and they're talking about his injury. That's the injuries will work 100%. But he's like, he goes, I didn't hear anything. I just felt it, and it just went numb. And he goes, that's what's worrisome, is because I can't remember the exact wording, but he made it seem like this was worse than when he originally broke it.
Well, then he's gone.
You would think. There's rumors that he's going to be the opponent at All Out. I don't know how you make that make sense, but it's such a clusterfuck. And again, I like reassurance from other fans. Make sure I'm not being crazy about this.
No, you're not. You're not crazy, man. Like, the placement was wrong, and I can see the placement of just like the rumors I hear of like there's 3 people running a show. Not just one, right? I mean, I can see people like, man, I got dinner at 8 p.m., so I got to get my match up. I can see something stupid. God forbid it's that, but hey, you never know.
CM Punk used to do that in WWE. He'd want to watch the Blackhawks playoff games, so he'd be like, hey, put me on sooner so I can watch the game. Blackhawks aren't playing now, though, so that wasn't the case.
I mean, so the placement's wrong. You got your championship, and this is the biggest match. Then they have to believe that, it is a work in that, because if he's that injured, there's no way he's not going to be out for a longer time. So,
yeah, he was out for, I think, 83 days with the legit injury, and now he has the fake injury that's supposed to be worse than the real injury, but they're going to try, allegedly, again, as a rumor. I don't look too much into rumors and dirt sheets. I'll entertain them for a conversation's sake, but as deep down, I'm like, nah, until I see it, I'm not believing it.
It should have been main event. It should have been the main event. Their fight should have been the main event.
This is how I've been pushing it to everybody.
It's like Roman Reigns, biggest thing going on. You think he's going to let Sheamus and Gunther take the main event? No. Back to the line. It's Roman.
So to touch on it, you said it too, it's not fair to Jon Moxley. And it's not. This is the argument I've been making about it, is if this match ended the show and Jon Moxley cuts his crazy promo, which was really fantastic. I've said this 5 times. People who watch me are probably tired of me saying it. I don't care. I'm that dead set on this being just the way you should have done it. Most of my fantasy booking is like, well, I think it would be cool. No, I know for a fact this would have been better. You have the match happen. You have Jon Moxley destroy him. You have him cut that promo in the ring as CM Punk is leaving, looks back. Oh, man. He gives that look. The logo pops up in the corner. They fade to black, and they go into whatever movie comes on after Dynamite. And it's like, as a fan, you're left wondering, what did I just watch? Instead of having to wonder what you just watched while also trying to pay attention to the rest of the show. I know I say no negativity. I don't think we're being negative. I think we're just breaking something down and trying to figure it out for the people who are, nope, I don't think I am. I think I'm trying to make sense of it. So I ask multiple people about it. And so far, I've gotten the same answer from everybody. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I want it to. I desperately want it to make sense.
Well, let's just say, hypothetically, he comes back for the fight, but it's kind of, and it's like, and that's, I guess, the main event of the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
which you just lost people to buy your pay-per-view if we think he's out to an extent. I mean, but say he does come back, then it's like the injury was fake and you just wasted Moxley and everyone else's time when it could have been a main event badass match. And why'd you have to have the match before the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
What? Just save it for the pay-per-view.
Run that match to the pay-per-view.
You go break his whole body on the pay-per-view and he's injured for 12 years. Yeah. And then have Moxley, carry his carcass out and say, I just beat the best in the world.
And he says, you're not the best in the world. I'm the best in the world. I'm the man. It's my time now. His promo was awesome. And I, like you said, it sucks for Moxley, and I agree 100%, because not only did he have this badass moment that put him on such another level, the promo that went with it was just like,
yeah, Drew McIntyre,
he's the man right now.
WrestleMania Rob, Drew McIntyre. They could have did that so much better. If only they had a crowd, right? If only they put that at the right place.
Yep. So yeah, that's that. I'm tuning in to Dynamite this week with the hope that they can find a way to fix the show. I'm gonna watch All Out because as a lot of people shit on the build. I don't think the build's been that bad. I think the main event build went to shit, but the rest of the show, for the most part, has been decent enough. I'm just really interested to see how they tackle their main event thing. I'm going into this week with just a fresh outlook on. I'm trying to erase it, get it all out of my system before Wednesday so that I can go into it and be like, all right, what you got for me, Tony? Give me something good. Give me something that I can look forward to on Sunday. I'm hoping we get it.
Yeah.
I just don't know how we get there. And as a big Punk fan, massive Punk fan, I don't want to see him at All Out. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. No.
It doesn't make sense to me. So
it makes him look bad. Like, oh, you were faking it in the ring. Like, you don't want to have him show up that quick.
And then if he goes in and he's going to wrestle again to lose, why do it? He's going to wrestle to win. That makes Mox. You just built Mox up as this crazy badass, and then you ruined it a week and a half later. I don't know why you would do that either. But they haven't done it, so I'm not saying like they've done a terrible job. I'm willing to see where the story goes. So I'm not shitting on as far as the Punk injured thing. The match itself, it was shocking. Not mad at the match. I'm just mad at how it went down.
Yeah, it should have went down that way.
So
storytelling. You've said it before, and I've paid attention, and I've waited for things to. I've given things time and let it simmer for a while, and it can come back around. The good news for you, and you're very damn lucky, is it's CM Punk. He's gonna get on the mic and he's gonna burn Dean Ambrose alive on live television.
Another thing that works here is
he'll make it work.
I told you about the MJF CM Punk thing. I'll send you the link so you can watch it. I still think that feud is going to play into what's happening now, and I think that's why I'm holding on to so much hope, because the feud again was. I think it's better than any feud we had last year as well. That's how good the feud was. And if they're able to tie that feud and keep it going a little bit longer and tie it into what we're seeing here with John Mox and everything, that's where my hope is coming from. And I'm a patient man, and I know sometimes things happen and you need to just let it play out. I get that. I'm not one of the people who's like, oh, I want it now. No, it doesn't have to happen that way. And I don't think I've explained that as far as this whole CM Punk Moxley thing. I'm not mad at the match. Making them known now, I am not mad at the match. Just, it's wild. It's just wild how it all happened and when it happened. So with that, that's the show. If you have anything else you'd like to add before we say our goodbyes, feel free, my man. It's your time to shine.
It's Sammy's time. It's Sammy's. Sammy again got the Hoover kick. All is right in the world. It makes me tune into SmackDown. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much. KO. Thank you.
I am the one.
Awesome.
I am the one.
I should get my action figure out, but that's gonna take a minute to walk to the living room. But
this is my newest edition I got this weekend, so it's like literally right there for me to use. I don't know.
That's the biggest positive moment ever. KO. Sammy showing up. You just told me on Raw. Raw's going to go through the ratings. I mean, SmackDown's doing great. NXT for me is slowly getting better. I mean, it's a good time. And Clash is on Saturday. Everything I want may happen.
The Worlds Collide is Sunday afternoon, too.
What's that?
Worlds Collide is Sunday afternoon, too.
5 days, man. I'm booked. Tell my friends goodbye.
Yeah, I warned the family. So this week is almost as bad as WrestleMania weekend, man. They need to be ready for it. I was about to touch on one more thing. Oh, the Sammy thing. I don't know if you saw it, but Roman Reigns, he posted a picture where he honored and he tagged Sammy and everything, talking about we the one.
Yes!
He tagged Sammy, so he's actually acknowledging Sammy as a member.
I'm telling you.
In the picture, it is very interesting. He has Jimmy. Jimmy's the one that's been giving Sammy shit, right?
Yeah. Well, no, Jay's the one.
So Jay, I believe, is the one that is blocked out of the picture. So you see Jimmy, you see Sammy, and you see Roman, and then all you see is Jay's hand in the air.
I was.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Real quick, when he had the thing when he was warming up, he's like, "Man, why you gotta bring all this negativity? I'm about to go out there right now. Why would you bring this up now?" Yeah. And then it was a very sympathetic moment because you're like, "Yeah, dude, honestly." But then he's like, "No, you're talking about maybe look bad in front of my family ever again." Jay with the fire promo, of course. But then Sammy looks down. It got through to Roman. He's like, "Yep, I see the poison." Yes, the character Sammy wins.
What's so great is Sammy has been basically manipulating every single person he's interacted with. He's not trying to manipulate these guys. He's trying to be with them. He's trying to showcase and prove himself and everything. And it's so, I'm not worthy. Sammy's just on another level. It's ridiculous how much further ahead than everyone else he is right now. That's a crazy statement to make, but I'm making it. I don't care. Again, like I said, with the end of days move, argue with your mama, argue with a wall, argue with anybody. You cat, you dog, I don't care. What I'm saying is a factual statement. He is the most entertaining thing in all of wrestling. When he's on the screen, I am like, sometimes I have to take notes. Sometimes I'm checking things down. I'll do this afterwards. I am zoned in. I want to know what's happening and where we're going with it. It's so good. And I can't wait to see the conclusion of it. I really can't, because
dude, it's going to be great.
If it's leading to where we think it is, he's coming to Raw, Kevin Owens, and they're the ones that dethrone the Usos. We go from one great story to another great story where him and Kevin Owens are going to be doing their thing to where they eventually do the split that always happens. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I know it'd be crazy to say it, but man, Sammy he's fantastic. I'm not going to go there. I'll wait to the end of the year. Sammy's fantastic right now, and he's again, nobody's more entertaining than him right now. It's unreal. I've been praising this man since he came back, and I've slowly just seen more and more people just being like, you know what? Sammy is the man. Sammy is doing the work. Sammy, I love it. I love it. So with that, we're done. We didn't spend the whole show talking about Sammy. So if that's what you tuned in for, I'm sorry. I'll do it, though, if you want me to. Just let me know in the comments. I'll spend an hour just praising the man. I'll throw in some Kevin Owens, too, because it has to be done. Thank you for joining me again, Tidy. Good having you on the second edition of Positively Awesome Wrestling. Sorry it wasn't completely positive, but we weren't being negative. We were just breaking something down, trying to make sense of something. Because Tidy, we had to get Tidy the man's opinion, because his opinion matters. And that's a factual statement as well. So we will say goodbye and all that good jazz. Boom. Thank you for joining. Tune in next week. We will see you again then. Peace.